This is the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast, episode 250.
We have a server crash, 404 error, page not found, links aren't working, system is crashing, system is crashing, system is crashing.
Your old HTML website, barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website, better than it was before. Better, stronger, faster. Hello, this is Adam Silver, the host of the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, first and foremost, if you hear background noise, if you hear some ambient noise, it's because I'm not at the home studio this weekend. I am at the airport in Boston. My flight from Nashville after WordCamp US to Raleigh was canceled due to a big snowstorm that hit the south, and it affected my flight home. So here we are recording in the airport because I want to get you the episode as promised on Monday morning, and I might not be home to get it done out of the studio. All right, so that said, that's what the background noise might be if you hear anything going on. So, moving right along, upcoming events. We have one WordCamp this weekend coming up. We have a WordCamp in Thessaloniki, Greece. I am so sorry that I messed up that spelling. If I did that, I do apologize. December 15th and 16th. That is the only WordCamp actually next weekend. Check it out if you're in the area. I will not be going to that camp. All right, moving on, segment one. In the news, a few things to share here. WordCamp Europe has opened the call for a host city for 2020. If you are in Europe and you think your city is eligible or would like to host the WordCamp for WordCamp Europe, by all means you should check it out. Link in the show notes to how to do that. WordCamp Raleigh, the camp I'm involved in for next April 2019, we are still looking for speakers. By all means you should submit a talk. You do not have to be local. We like local people, but we'd like to hear from you as well. And I'm also still looking for people, looking for a survey regarding the Kitchen Sink WP Mastermind. So there'll be a link in the show notes there as well if you're interested in maybe learning about accountability. I want to learn more about you, see if I can help you in 2019. Oh, also in the news, WordPress 5.0 is out. That's right. It came out on December 6th, a few days ago from the recording of this episode. As of the recording, over 3 million installs have already happened, and that is amazing. The numbers are pretty impressive there, and we'll talk more about that in segment 2, which is right now. So segment 2, the meat and potatoes. This episode, I'm going to talk about WordCamp US update, and I have some interviews from new WordCampers, as I often do this episode a couple times, once a year from US, etc. So first and foremost, I'm just back from US. Well, I'm not even back yet, as I just said. I am stuck at the airport. But that said, I had a great time. You might hear my voice is a little raspier. It's because, well, some of those parties are loud, and it was in Nashville, so the music was amazing, the club was nice, etc. I do want to give a great shout out to the organizing team. They did an amazing job once again. It was just a really good camp. A couple highlights. First of all, I want to mention I got to speak. Yes, I did actually. I wasn't planning on speaking originally. I was asked about a week and a half ago to be a backup speaker. I was flattered and honored, and I said yes. But just in case, you never know if you're going to speak or not. And lo and behold, at the last minute, I was asked to speak on Friday morning. So I did a talk, and it went over rather well, I thought. So thank you for that. Really had a good time doing that. Matt did his annual State of the Word this year, and it was a bit more subdued, probably due to the overall feeling and angst regarding 5.0 and the Gutenberg and the quote drama there. But nonetheless, he shared the stats, and again, things are rising. 32% or 33% now of all the sites are using WordPress, and still growing. He discussed the next phases of WordPress and where we're going with phase 2 and phase 1 and 2 now. We're kind of still working in progress. Phase 3 and 4, 2019, 2020. I definitely recommend you take a listen and watch his talk that over on WordPress.tv. I'll put a link in the show notes. So that said, I have 2 interviews here for you. One interview is from Richard Fleetwood, and one is from Jess Stevens. They are both first-time WordCampers, and they have interesting stories to share, how they use it, why they use it, what they got out of WordCamp. So take a listen here, and I'll come back after that with the tip and tool of the week. All right, here you go. Today I am sitting here at WordCamp US in the one of the private rooms with Richard Fleetwood, and welcome to the Kitchen Sink WP podcast, Richard.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. I really do appreciate you taking the time. First of all, who are you? What do you do with WordPress? Where are you from?
Got into WordPress in 2004. Started doing web development in the late 90s using AOL homepage. Developed what was called the web ring. That used to be a thing back in the 90s. They have destroyed it so many times over, and my website, Survival Ring, was based on that. I got into prepper stuff because I had moved from Dallas to Birmingham, and the weather was 10 times more horrifying. Tornadoes, hurricanes, house fire, 2 lightning strikes, and 8 years living there. Moved to Wyoming in 2000. I had a lot less stuff, but had a lot more cold. My background, I've been a postman. I worked in corrections law enforcement for 10 years, drove cross country doing camp. I did all the cool stuff that you want to do when you want to, get out of the house. So
Nice.
Now I'm home all the time, and I spend all my time on WordPress. I developed a site in late 90s, like I said, and converted it to WordPress in 2009. Everything you could do to break a website with WordPress, I've learned how to. I've been hacked by all kinds of old things, plugins, themes like that. I'm on top of it like you wouldn't believe every day. And I'm a content expert in the area of preparedness. Think Boy Scouts, be prepared, not survivalist. I'm going to come steal your food. It's one of those things people misunderstand. I'm about giving you information. I've got 77 years of historic government-produced documentation free for download, almost 30 gigabytes.
Wow.
So my job, and my content, but I went back to school in 2003 and got applied science degrees in web development and broadcasting, radio, TV, and web podcasting. Worked for Wyoming Public Television for 5 years, did 13 years of live radio as a talent, and then podcast.
And you're only 22 years old.
No, I'll be 18 next month. No, I'm actually a 58. I just have the temperament of an 18-year-old.
That's awesome. So you use WordPress daily.
Yes.
You have the site. You've converted an old site. We've all done that.
Yes.
So what made you switch to WordPress?
Starting in AOL was static HTML.
Right.
And it was just a page after page. It wasn't interconnected, so I started doing that. The footer had pages in static. And I had been hearing about content management systems. I tried Drupal, Mambo, probably half a dozen of all these, and every time I set it up, it got hacked.
Interesting.
Then I came across WordPress, I don't remember where, and with version 1.5.2.
Okay.
The first one I remember was 2004, and I've been with it since, and it's turned into an amazing ability to update from anywhere. I've got WordPress on my phone.
Right.
When I was driving the past year, I could update the website, post pictures of the unimaginable landscapes across the West Coast.
Right.
And I love sharing the stuff I do. My goal is helping people, and in this last job, my personal motto was be the change.
WordCamp US.
Yes.
You are a volunteer.
Yes.
So how did you find out about WordCamps and why US?
But I moved to St. Louis because my wife was with my daughter there. Daughter just got a divorce. She's helping the grandkids.
Okay.
So as soon as we get to a point we're going to buy a house and I'm going to settle down. But I'm still looking for a good job once I get my broken features fixed. And not my face. I do have a face for radio, but it's one of those things. But I had wanted to go to WordPress meetups for years.
Okay.
I now had the time, so I've been joined in St. Louis. They have 2 meetups.
Okay.
One downtown, one in the West End and St. Charles. And I love it. I have people that talk my language.
Yeah.
But this is, people understand what I'm talking about. I understand what they're talking about. It's the give and take. Taking that, be the change. With this last job that I was doing, there's nothing better that helps millions of people, hundreds of millions of people around the world. And Meetup got me into it. I heard about WordCamp. I've been seeing it the past few years. And I wanted to go, this is the closest one. Plus the fact that my son lives here,
Okay.
as a producer.
Okay.
Free room.
Right. Oh, nice. Okay. And for those who don't know, WordCamp US for the next 2 years will be in St. Louis.
Exactly.
So are you on that team as well? Are you
Yes, I hope to be, which is why I came here to volunteer and learn what it's like.
Okay. So since you've never been to WordCamp and you are a volunteer, you've had a unique experience in that case. You've been thrown into the mix.
Yes.
What are the takeaways for you? Like if somebody said, hey, I'm new to WordPress or been using WordPress for a while, but not really part of the community.
Right.
A, would you recommend that they come to a WordCamp?
Yes.
Not necessarily US,
Right.
but just a local WordCamp.
Local.
And then what are the takeaways you'd have?
From the WordCamp itself, meeting some of the people that use the tools, and I never actually put the face behind it.
Right.
PayPal, a couple of engineers yesterday, WooCommerce, I mean, the stuff that intrigues me and I've played with over the years, I'm now trying to instigate on my site. The other takeaways that I get are, I have met in the small thing in St. Louis, the small group, they come there with they've heard about WordPress, they've been told, our business is going to a WordPress website. I can help them with understanding what it is what it does, what it's great for, what you can't do, because I've been using it since 2004.
Right.
So continuing to help people on a wider scale. I've made a lot of contacts, passed a bunch of business cards out.
Right.
And I want to continue helping people like I have.
So the community itself as well.
The community itself is what is the big draw.
Okay.
I wanted to meet Matt ever since I started this. I hope you get a picture with him today, and I can't wait for the State of the Word because this is going to be my first one. So many people, so many different backgrounds, so helpful in everything. Being a volunteer, I was helping run the registration table. I've helped with a few other areas as well. Everybody is so kind, so nice. There's no anger here.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, and the speakers know exactly what they're talking about. Your talk was amazing.
You're a great commercial for this camp. That's awesome. You're awesome. I just want to thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And if people want to follow you, are you on Twitter?
Yes, on Twitter, I'm R-A-Fleet, R-A-F-L-E-E-T. I've got a couple of websites. I'm on Facebook, but I'm maxed out on friends. But you can follow me.
And we'll link to that in the show notes as well.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Adam.
Today I am now talking to Jess Stevens. Jess is also a first-time WordCamper here at WordCamp US 2018. Welcome to the KitchensinkWP podcast.
Thanks.
So we met like literally moments ago through a mutual friend who I know from WordCamp Asheville. So tell us about you. What's your WordPress journey? How are you here? Why are you here? What do you do with WordPress?
All right. Well, I am the founder of a light marketing agency. We are a very small marketing agency out of Eastern Kentucky, and we service a lot of small business and rural businesses. And as far as WordPress goes, that's what we build our websites on for our clients. So I do not consider myself a designer or a developer.
Okay.
We have a web developer we work with. She does all the hard coding, techie magic, we call it. But I have worked on WordPress for several years, more casually, and this is kind of my start into learning more, kind of how we can push our boundaries, what we can offer, and how to not annoy our developer.
Okay. So you're an agency owner.
Yes.
So you run the business.
Yes.
Which is great. And there's a lot of that out there. Not everyone has to be the developer or the designer.
Right.
So how did you find out about WordCamp itself?
I'd heard about it. I went to a couple of our WordPress meetups locally.
Okay.
Heard about it, and then actually our mutual friend Sarah she was going to be here, and she's like, if anyone can make it, I highly recommend it. So we were like, let's check it out, and so here we are.
Nice. So it's day 2.
Yes.
How has it been so far for you? Have you gone to all the many sessions?
Yes, I have. It's been eye-opening. A lot of it is a running list of things I really need to learn about, and everyone's like, oh, this is so funny. What a true thing about working on websites. And I'm like, I don't know what we're talking about, but that's fine.
Right.
So it's really good of like, where do I need to improve my skills, and what do I need more foundational knowledge on, which has been really cool.
And what do you think that is? Like, what do you think what's like if you had to take one right now, foundational knowledge thing to update for yourself, what would that be?
I think a lot of mine is more of like the framework and the bones. So one of the talks was like, okay, your framework is the bones of everything, and the meat is the pretty client-facing side. Was that you?
Could have been.
I think it might have been you. I literally have like meat and bones. Like, I know about meat. I need to learn about bones. So from what I participate in, is the client-facing side, is when you're on the browser, what do you see? And our designer does a lot more of the bones part, and I know like the super basics of coding, but not enough to really, in an emergency, do anything. So I need to learn more of that foundational knowledge, and I knew that, but.
Yeah, okay. So you decided to come because of Sarah.
Yes.
You've gone to the meetups. Are there any WordCamps closer to you?
Actually, Asheville's about equidistant here to me, so we'll probably look into that
next year.
Yeah.
Okay. You should, for sure.
Yeah, and St. Louis isn't that bad, so we're planning on going.
And you might consider even volunteering to get your, to jump more into the community.
Oh, that's a good call.
Just FYI.
I'm a good helper, so.
Good. So if someone came to you who was relatively new to WordPress itself as well, in any capacity, running a business or using it, now that you've gone to WordCamp, suggestions, ideas, takeaways, recommendations?
I think mine would be like, don't be afraid to ask for help, because that's one thing. Is we've talked to several people who are like, oh, you should check out this YouTube series or this podcast or this website for like tips, because I think there's so many ways to do things. There's a million ways to get the same thing accomplished.
Absolutely.
So I think it can be, for me personally, it can be very overwhelming, the amount of resources out there. So finding like, oh, I really like the way this person explains things in a way I understand, and like this is a person that I trust, so
Right.
I'll go with what they think.
Right. No,
Obviously, do your own research, but there's such a vast array of options that for me, it's like, don't feel like you have to reinvent the wheel.
Right. And you realize, just FYI, the audience knows this as well, WordCamp US is an anomaly of scale. There's like 2,000 people here,
Right.
give or take. WordCamps like Asheville or Raleigh usually average between 200 people to 400 people.
Right.
So they're much smaller. Don't expect this at every camp.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
So the other question I have for you is regarding community. Have you made any connections in the hallway track, what we call the hallway track?
Yes. Yeah, it's been good. And people that we're trying to find, I think it can be interesting. Like, I want to connect with people who are like geographically close to me, but we're all on the internet. So like,
Right. It's
that's
weird.
not necessary.
Yeah.
You know, like we started talking to a woman who was talking about business cards, and she invited us to come to Berlin next year. And like, we're like, well, I don't know about that, but you know, that'd be great to look into. So like, there's so many options. It's kind of crazy.
It is. And how long have you been running your agency?
I was a one-woman show for about 3 years, and just in the last year, actually, we've expanded, and there's 3 of us now. So
Good. Awesome.
yeah, it's been a switch from like I was essentially just a hobbyist who people would be like, oh, you do this, right? Can you do me a favor?
Typical.
And then I was like, oh wow, I own a business now.
Right.
Actually, I'm a marketing agency. Like, I used to really downplay that and be like, I mean, yeah, like I do marketing, and somebody was like, stop. You run a marketing agency. What are you doing? And I'm
Right.
like, oh, okay.
Don't negate your work.
Yeah, so I'm really bad about that. But yeah, I run a marketing agency. It's about 3 years now.
Good. Awesome. Okay. Well, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your experience here. Where can people follow you, find you online?
It's alighteagency.com.
Okay. And we'll put a link to that in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank
Thanks
you
for
so
being here.
much.
Thank you. All right, and thanks again to both Richard and Jess. Really do appreciate having them on the show. Very nice people to take the time to do that with me. So, segment 3, tip and tool of the week. This week's tool is a service called Process.st, or Process Street. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the past, but I've looked at this service in the past. My friend Scott had mentioned it like a year or two ago. It's an online system for creating processes and onboarding documentations, and just, I'm a big checklist fan. So if I did mention it, I don't remember mentioning it on the show, but I know I looked at it, and I'm re-looking at it because 2019 is around the corner, and I really want to get a few more things dialed in. I want to have better onboarding and a better checklist system. So check it out. It's over at Process.st. I have no connection to them whatsoever. There's a free level, and there's also some paid levels as well. So that is it this week. We'll wrap it up here. If you have any questions, go ahead, send it in via email. I'm Adam at KitchensinkWP.com, or use the SpeakPipe functionality on the website, of course. If you want to support the show, you can. You can become a Patreon, KitchensinkWP.com/Patreon. If you want to sponsor the show, you can do that too from the form on the website. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Now go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. All right. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.